Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First You're On, Matt and I are going to discuss the potential savior of the video game movie genre, the Tomb Raider relaunch starring Alicia Vikander as the legendary Lara Croft. Can it break the video game movie this whole thing sucks. When I choked over my own words there. Let's try that again, shall we, folks? Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of The First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss the potential savior of the video game movie genre. That's right, the Tomb Raider relaunch is here, starring Alicia Vikander as the legendary Lara Croft. Can it break the game movie curse? Then we're going to discuss Taron Killam's Killing Gunther, not starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, apparently. And Matt, do we have another mockumentary hit here, or does this kind of reveal these films as being the tired genre last recourse of a low-budget filmmaker? And then we'll tell you, of course, what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD featuring the straight-to-DVD and streaming picks of the week. And then finally, we'll wrap up the big show with the return of everybody's favorite fill-in-the-blank game, TFR Libs. So, Matt, let's get this ball rolling. Pull that bow string arrow tight and let it fly. Here's Tomb Raider.
It's very simple. If you don't sign the papers, then everything your father worked for will be sold off. Not just the company. The Croft Manor also. Can you imagine how you would feel if you lost the house? Laura, your father's gone. But you can pick up where he left off. It's in your blood.
I'm sorry. I'm just not that kind of Croft.
So, Matt, she's not that kind of Croft. But is this movie that type of video game movie? Have we finally surpassed the hang-up, the thing that's holding back these video game adaptations? So I want to answer that question, but first, please, for the folks at home or on the road, they're down at their local massage parlor getting the kinks worked out. What is Tomb Raider all about?
Well, it stars Lara Croft as a British noble. I guess it's fair to say that she's a noble who's very wealthy, who essentially has kind of left the family, kind of become the black sheep of the family upon the disappearance of her father. Is being convinced by a caretaker to sign over the company or just take control of the company when she learns that her father may possibly be alive and he was lost raiding tombs. So she goes to go find him.
That's right. So answer my question. Have we finally broken the video game curse? Is this actually a really good video game adaptation that we've been waiting for? I mean, granted, we all love the Resident Evil films and do not understand why they haven't been nominated for Oscars.
Yeah.
Though I do still hold out hope for potentially an Uncharted film someday, but I don't know how good you're going to be if you're basically just biting off Indiana Jones.
Right.
Or B, a Last of Us, which I guess
that would be good too.
The Walking Dead. But anyway, this Tomb Raider get the job done.
Okay, so I'm gonna scale back the hyperbole a little bit. If you're talking about does it break the mold and is it a fantastic movie and like this is what video game movies can be, no, it's not anything special. But the video game bar is so low as it is. This is fine. It's fine. It's a completely competent action movie with decent acting, decent visuals. The script is not terrible. It's just very milquetoast, and it's nothing that's particularly outstanding. But it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I think that's I guess fair. I feel really that this does nothing to make it really surpass the Angelina Jolie films. and I was really hoping it might, but it doesn't. I think it's just as meaningless and forgettable as those two movies. Where Vikander, I guess I would say is a better actress, but she isn't really given much to do or given much to work with, I guess I should say, in this film. And none of it really worked for me, Matt. I mean, some of the action set pieces, I guess, were entertaining enough, but I am halfway through the game that this is based on, and some of them are pulled right out of the video game. The thing with the plane, the parachute thing, all that stuff is in the video game. And and here's where I don't go. Here's where I'm not sure what to do about that. So is that fan service, or if I was a big fan of that game, the Tomb Raider relaunch that came out a few years ago, would I be upset if I didn't get that type of a thing? I know. I mean, and then can you really please those two audiences? Am I just being a jerk?
I think you're being a little pedantic. I mean, I think this is I mean, Tomb Raider is not. It's not like it's a Halo or something where it's got like raving fanboys and like an entire kind of cottage industry built around it. I don't think there's really the fan base for this. I mean, there's not the lore or the obsession with it. I mean, I don't think there's really anybody's really going to care, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I think that's interesting too, because I saw an advertisement for this where they said Alicia Vikander is the legendary Lara Croft.
Yeah.
And I was like, legendary? Is Lara Croft that iconic a character? Am I missing something?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I guess she is. I mean, she's probably, I mean, she was a big deal on the original PlayStation, female protagonist. So I guess that's always kind of a big deal in video games. But I mean, I don't think she's having a whole lot of staying power. I mean, I don't particularly think anybody's clamoring for her next adventure quite the way they are for other franchises that are out there. So, I mean, honestly, it doesn't surprise me that everything was lifted straight from it. But if I was a huge fan, I guess I would be upset. But I mean, that's such a tiny fan base. Who cares, right?
I guess. I don't know. This thing just, I don't know. And then the issues too, I guess one of the big subtexts of the film is her trying to find her father, where she refuses to believe that he's dead, right? And then stuff happens, and I almost feel as if the father plot line, it's supposed to drive it, but for me, it sinks it. I don't know what it is. Just the relationship between the two of them just doesn't work. I don't know if it's Dominic West's fault. Maybe it's the poor script. I'm not sure. But the whole thing felt like a drag to me. It's supposed to be Lara Croft becoming the legendary Lara Croft in this film, right? This is her birth as the Tomb Raider. And the whole thing just felt, if I may borrow a phrase, pedantic. It just didn't...
You used it well. You used it well, seamlessly.
Thank you. Now, if there's any real bright spot in this thing for me, it's Daniel Wu.
Yeah,
I take a tumbler full of that cat. All right. Now, I was trying to remember where I saw him, and it was in the show Into the Badlands on AMC, which I watched the first season and was really underwhelmed. And I didn't watch I guess there's 3 seasons now, or at least 2.
Yeah.
Maybe they're shooting the 3rd. Yeah. But I like me some Daniel Wu. He was really the only thing that breathed any life into this film for me. Whenever he was on screen, I was actually interested in seeing what was going to happen next. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Daniel Wu. I think he was fun to watch. I mean, I don't know why I keep watching Into the Badlands. It's not particularly good, but I mean, I keep watching it, and I guess it's for him, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, he was fine, but I mean, I guess I'm not as offended by this film because it's not like Yui Bowl levels of bad, which I guess is something we can at least be thankful for. It's not as incoherent as Resident Evil series. It's not as bad as some of the Yui Bowl stuff. It's not as completely incompetent as many video game movies are. So, you know what? I'm going to cut it some slack. I'm okay with it.
Fine. I'm just saying, if you have Walton Goggins in your film and he's not exciting and magnetic to watch like he was on Justified, then you're doing something wrong. Even Goggins, I felt, was almost sleepwalking through this thing. So I was just underwhelmed throughout the whole thing. I like the Daniel Wu, as I said. Nick Frost pops up. in a mildly entertaining turn, but overall, and then at the end, which felt tagged on to me with Kristen Scott Thomas, when we get the big reveal, which is really no reveal at all. If you just think about it for a minute, that's where it's going to go. Is just, I was like, all right, so we're going to set us up for a sequel that I have absolutely no interest in watching.
Not that we're going to get a sequel. Let's just be clear here.
I think it'll do well enough internationally. Maybe it costs between 90 and 106, and it's pulled in 212.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how like $100 million is not even that big of an action movie budget anymore? Remember that was outrageous, you know?
Yeah, no, I don't blink at that anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
But I mean, to listen to you talk, Chris, it sounds like you're a huge Tomb Raider fan. Like you're very upset about this.
I'm not at all. I was just, you know what it is? I'm a big Vikander fan after Ex Machina.
What else has she been in?
She's been in a couple other things. She was in the supposedly a really horrible erotic thriller, The War of the Tulips or something like that. That was supposed to not be very good.
Okay.
And A Royal Affair, Eric Karenina. The Fifth Estate she was in. What else? She was in Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I want to see. I've heard is actually pretty entertaining. The Danish Girl. Yeah, Tulip Fever. I'm sorry, was the name of that one. And then Jason Bourne she was in. She played, the new person hunting Jason Bourne in the latest Jason Bourne film. Yeah. So, I don't know. I like Vikander, but...
I like her too. But I mean, here's the thing. I mean, she was really good in Ex Machina, but it doesn't sound like she's made a lot of good, solid choices since then. So, I don't know. Maybe that was the flash in the pan.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think so. She's married to Mr. Fassbender.
Oh, well, that means nothing.
And I wonder, all the stuff that came out about him the last few months, or at least resurfaced. Well, anyway, let's not go into the rabbit hole again. So I'm going to give the Tomb Raiders I don't know, I guess I'll give them a gentleman's C. I think I'm being generous with that, but I'm giving them a C. What about you?
I think I'm going to go a little bit further onto the positive side. I'm going to give it a C+. A ladies C+, as opposed to the gentleman's C.
Fine. It's... I don't know. I just expected more. I wanted a little more adventure. I wanted a little more excitement. I wanted a little, and it just felt very rote to me. It really did.
I'm sorry.
So you're gonna breathe new life on a franchise, but it's not at all. It's an ill wind that didn't blow good. If I'm gonna mix my metaphor. If you're interested to see the Tomb Raiders, shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. I certainly would love to hear your thoughts about it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed the boat, though I sincerely doubt it. Coming up, Matt, on Blu-ray and DVD, I'm going to play a clip because this is a huge, huge release. I know you're excited about it. Let's hear a clip.
Breathe. Just breathe. Reach out with your feelings. What do you see?
The island. Life. Death and decay that feeds new life. Warmth. Cold. Peace. Violence.
And between it all,
balance. Energy. A force.
and inside you.
Inside me. That same force.
That's right, Matt. Star Wars The Last Jedi. The much maligned Star Wars The Last Jedi by people who don't know what they're talking about. It comes out on Best Buy with a steel book. Target gives you a digibook with like 40 some odd pages of behind the scenes stuff and concept designs and all that stuff. And Walmart has a whole bunch of interchangeable covers. So they have a little case and you can take a card out and put a different card in. So if you want Finn as your cover, then boom, you got yourself some Finn. Matt, which one are you going to pick up? I know you're going to grab The Last Jedi at some point. Which of those sounds most appealing to you? Steelbook, Digibook, interchangeable cover.
God, I don't know which gimmick I like better. I guess I'll go with changeable cover. I think because I'm not a huge fan of the steelbooks, to be quite honest with you.
Me neither.
Yeah,
I'd probably go Digibook because I like having the little books. Except here's the problem. Now that I'm a 4K guy, and by the way, folks, this is the first Star Wars.
Oh, wait a minute! Now that I'm a 4K guy, la-ti-da.
What's up? What's up?
Slumming it with us common people, huh?
If I have to slum it with you people, I will. But the 4K stuff, this is the first Star Wars movie in 4K. Just a heads up. All right. So unfortunately, these special editions, as far as I'm aware, are not going to be particular to the 4K. I don't think the Digibook is. I don't believe the Walmart is. The Steelbooks maybe, but definitely not the Digibooks or the interchangeable covers. And which bothered me because when I buy the DC books, the DC movies, I've been getting the Target Digibooks all along. I never bought Suicide Squad, but for BVS and Wonder Woman and Man of Steel, I have the Digibooks. And of course, now at Justice League, they didn't do one, and I will be getting that in 4K because it is possibly the greatest film of the past, since the invention of celluloid.
Right.
Why did that have to stink? All right. So Star Wars comes with the directing of Jedi, go behind the scenes with writer-director Rian Johnson, some scenic breakdowns, deleted scenes, and an audio commentary by Johnson, which I'm keen to listen to. Criterion is giving us Women in Love. This is the film by Ken Russell that vaulted him onto the international stage based on the psychosexual radicalism of D.H. Lawrence's classic novel that shattered taboos in its own time. So I know you're excited about that one. It includes a new 4K digital restoration, 2 audio commentaries from 2003, one featuring director Ken Russell, the other screenwriter, producer Larry Kramer, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Criterion is also giving us King of Jazz. Made during the early years of the movie musical, this exuberant review was one of the most extravagant, eclectic, and technically ambitious Hollywood productions of its day. Starring the band leader Paul Whiteman, then widely celebrated as the King of Jazz, the film drew from Broadway variety shows of the time to present a spectacular array of sketches, performances by such acts as the Rhythm Boys, featuring a young Bing Crosby, as well as orchestral numbers overseen by Whiteman, including a large-in-life rendition of George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. I brought this up because Rhapsody in Blue, I think, is the greatest musical contribution this country has ever given to the world.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't heard Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, it is a stunning piece of work. Every time I hear it, I get goosebumps, and I've heard this thing 100 times. I'm trying to think, who is it? Prudential that used a portion of it in their advertisement campaigns? Right. One of the insurance companies used a portion of it. You'll hear it. You'll be like, oh, yeah, I know that. Includes a new 4K restoration, new audio commentary featuring jazz and film critic Gary Giddens, and deleted scenes, including an alternate opening title sequence and some other stuff. East of Burden, starring Daniel Radcliffe as pilot Sean Haggerty. He's got to deliver cocaine mat across the U.S.-Mexico border for his final run as a drug smuggler. I'm kind of liking where Radcliffe's doing these kind of smaller films. Imperium I saw, where he plays the FBI agent who infiltrates a skinhead gang.
Right.
Pretty good.
Was it pretty good?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. So he's done some other stuff too that I found entertaining. So I'll maybe check this out at some point. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Now, are you familiar with that horror film?
No, I am not.
Scream's releasing a collector's edition of it. Includes a new 2K remaster and a couple new featurettes. I'm not familiar with it. I've seen it a couple times, like the case. I've seen the Blu-ray, and I didn't know that this was a cult enough hit that Scream Factory would pick it up. So maybe at some point I do have to check it out. I don't know. But if you're a fan of Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, Scream's giving you a new version. Vinegar Syndrome is giving us Star Time, a truly one-of-a-kind mashup of David Lynch or Michael Snow-esque art house surrealism, social commentary, sleazer character drama, slasher trappings, and a surprising amount of well-done gore effects. Includes, where are we? It stars, I say, Michael St. Gerard, John P. Ryan, and Maureen Teefy. I just like to bring up the Vinegar Syndrome stuff every now and then so you can check out what they're putting out. Matt, did you ever watch The Outer Limits?
Not as much as I watched Twilight Zone. I've caught a few of them.
Yeah, so Twilight Zone, right, was what more thrillers and
Morality
metaphors
plays
and
and
morality
stuff
plays.
like that.
Outer Limits was more focused on science fiction for the
Yeah.
uninitiated.
Yeah.
And season 1 is being released on Blu-ray with brand new remasters of each episode, 24 audio commentaries as well by various film historians, and a 40-page illustrated booklet. So if you're a fan of the Outer Limits, now you can pick it up, at least season 1 on Blu-ray. And Matt, your straight-to-DVD pick of the week is going to be Hell's Kitty. Aspiring screenwriter Nick's love life is jeopardized by his hellacious and demonically possessed cat named Angel. Even Nick's best friend and neighbor Adam, movie extra and slacker, is convinced that Angel needs to be exorcised. But Nick adores his cat and defends her despite all the obvious, ominous warnings. That's Hell's Kitty, which I think is something we're going to have to check out. Matt,
Sure.
what should we be streaming this week?
All right, so one of our better movies of last year, was it last year? I think it was last year. One of the better movies of last year, which made me feel a little weird when I was watching it. It was a very strange little film. Colossal is available on Hulu for streaming. Stars Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis. Anne Hathaway is a alcoholic young woman who loses her job, loses her boyfriend, and gets kicked out of her apartment due to her addictions, and she goes back home to her hometown, to her parents' abandoned house, and she kind of hooks up with some old school friends, and they discover that when they cross over a certain park at night, they become giant monsters in Seoul, Korea. So it's a very strange, huh?
I said naturally.
Naturally, as one does. So it's a comedy that's got a real dark edge to it. It's a good, solid performance from everybody around. So if you're into that kind of strange films, or even if you're just a fan of giant kaiju, it's something that can hold you over until you watch Pacific Rim 2. That is completely not the same kind of movie, but it has kaiju in it. So there you go. So check it out. Colossal.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Colossal. It was on my list, initially on my list of the best films of the year when we first saw it. Didn't quite make the cut eventually, obviously, but still, I rather enjoyed that. So that's a good pick, Matt. All right, moving on. We are going to talk about Killing Gunther, Matt. And I was super, super excited about this, right? I love me some Arnold. I like Taron Gilliam. I like Bobby Moynihan. I think this should be pretty good. So let's talk about how awesome Killing Gunther is after this brief clip.
Okay, and there's the playback.
There, stop there. We got him. I give you Gunther. Enhance image.
What?
Enhance that image.
Can't do that.
Why not?
Because that's not a thing. That's not how technology works.
Yes, it is. I've seen it in a bunch of stuff.
Minority Report.
No,
I'm with Gabe. Not in real life.
Keep the sharpness of when it's small and bring it like they do all the time.
Yeah, technologically impossible.
What about this? Can you get the data off of this?
I can try, but it looks pretty busted.
You look pretty busted.
He's really mad.
Okay, Matt. So Taron Killam plays a hitman, and he teams up with a bunch of other hitmen to take out the world's best hitman. So then Killam can become the world's best hitman. And of course, the world's best hitman is played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, who does, I think, a pretty good job of sending up his kind of previous characters and seems to really be enjoying himself in this role. So when he assembles this team, you have Bobby Moynihan, Hannah Simone. Who else do we have this? What's her name? I have it right here. It's from the first season of Fargo.
I
have this available for me. I had it right here, and it's gone.
And it's gone.
Damn it, Jimmy! What? Hold on, Jimmy's bringing me the notes right now. I hate people. Alison Toman is in this as well. That's who I was thinking of. Anyway, so it's shot as a mockumentary style, and it's in the opening of the show. I'm curious what you think about the mockumentary. introduced by Christopher Guest brilliantly with Spinal Tap, and then with Waiting for Guffman and some other films, perhaps Diminishing Returns.
Right.
And we've seen a lot of the found footage, or at least documentary, I should say, type films since then. So, Matt, I'm just going to say this, and I want you to expand from there. Matt, I feel cheated. What do you think of killing Gunther?
Well, so let me just let's level set something here. So, Chris, as he said in the intro to this film, he is a huge Arnold fan, and anything that comes around with Mr. Schwarzenegger, we have to watch it, or at least we have to make every attempt to watch it. And Chris is really, really excited about it. Now, I like a lot of the films of Mr. Schwarzenegger, but I don't give him a pass to where I want to watch everything that he puts out. And I've been proven right by his later output, his post-gubernatorial output, that as it will. And this is, I think, one of them, although I think it's not fair to really lay it at his feet, because as you said, he's barely in the thing. It's just not funny. It's just not funny, which is the sin of all comedy things. I mean, really, that clip that you played was maybe one of the funnier parts of the entire film. So if that's not one of the funniest things that you've heard, or the level of humor that you're up to, then you're in for disappointment, as obviously Chris is, because he looks very downtrodden right now.
Yes, I thought it started off reasonably well. I thought it was fine. I like Taron Killam. I thought he was great in Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
When he's on Comedy Bang Bang, when he plays one part of the what's their name? Basically, there are a couple brothers who run a horse fighting ring. It's absolutely hilarious. But for some reason, this thing doesn't really come together. They said It's pretty good in the beginning. And I'll even say the final 20 minutes of it I kind of enjoyed. Of course, that's when Arnold eventually does show up. And it's almost entirely redeemed by Arnold's country music karaoke bit. But if I could have gotten that for about an hour and a half, something, not specifically that, but that kind of stuff, I think I would have enjoyed it much more than I did. Instead, we got to slog through an hour of intermittent laughs and half-hearted Marx Brothers routines. I have to say Marx Brothers like Sean Connery. I don't know why. Whenever I see the term Marx Brothers, I think of The Last Crusade. I should have sent it to the Marx Brothers. But it's an inconsistent script, and it's not, and as I said, intermittently funny. And even then, it's not terribly strong, the laughs. I may have laughed out loud once or twice. Maybe. Right. You can't hold me to it. And it's got a bunch of little side things that it explores a little bit with some of the other characters that you just don't care about. And the whole time, you're just waiting for Schwarzenegger to show up. And as like I said, he's in like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, disappointing.
Yeah, it is highly disappointing. It's too bad. But it's kind of why it flew under the radar and kind of died. Was DOA basically. I like a lot of the principles in the film. I mean, this is just another example, which it's becoming dangerously predictable and depressingly predictable, where no matter how talented the cast is, you can have a comedy ensemble of ringers and they just can't seem to pull together a good comedy film. It's been a while since we've seen a really good one, and that makes me nervous. It makes me sad.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it had some interesting ideas, like the one assassin who relies on poison.
Yeah,
I found that to be kind of amusing too. I mean, there's just little things. I like the Russian couple, the brother and sister. It just didn't. Just frustrating. That was the whole thing. I was getting frustrated, more and more frustrated as this thing went out. And then when Schwarzenegger finally shows up, I'm like, oh, great, here's Arnie. And then that's okay. And then the country music bit hits, and I giggled like a schoolboy. But yeah, it's whatever. I'm moving on. I have nothing else to say about killing Gunther. Unfortunately, yeah, I think unfortunately you can skip this, Bad Bear. It breaks my heart to say so. So I'm still going to give it a C-, but that's the best I can do for my buddy Arnold. It's the best I can do.
You know what? I'm not gonna hurt you, Chris. I'm gonna slide right in there next to you on that C- scale.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah.
Good looking out.
Yeah. I don't wanna twist the knife any more than I have to.
I appreciate that. You're a scholar and a gentleman. Thank you so much.
Or at least until the next little piece of DC based Schadenfreude comes out, and then I can really dig in there.
Yes. Yeah, I'll look forward to that.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
To see what James Wan does with Aquaman. All right.
Yeah, no trailer yet. No trailer yet, Chris.
No, not yet. I'm not worried about it. I can't wait to see Aquaman take that car and drive it over a bridge or something like that. I think it's going to be. He starts drifting.
No, he's gonna ride up on porpoises and then he's gonna drift on the porpoises. He's gonna have them on their feet. He's gonna have the harness on him. He's gonna flip up there, and he's gonna, I don't know, shoot somebody out of the sky. It's gonna be awesome.
And then he'll work with the Warrens.
Yes.
At a haunted house.
He'll be playing the clap game.
That's right.
Down in the water.
One thing I don't understand with the old Super Friends cartoon, and maybe you can help me with this, is why did he have a jet ski?
Yeah, Aquaman nobody knows what to do with Aquaman. He makes absolutely no sense in any context.
Yeah, I never quite understood that. I don't know. If you can answer that question, or if you've seen Killing Gunther, we'd love to hear your thoughts either way. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. All right, Matt, let's move on and let's wrap up the show and end this misery with another rambunctious round of TFR Libs. And let's ease into it with, why I brought up that Marx Brothers thing.
Junior? Yes, sir. It is you, Junior. Don't call me that, please. Well, what are you doing here? I came to get you. What do you think?
Late 14th century Ming Dynasty. Oh, it breaks the heart.
And the head. You hit me, Dad.
I'll never forgive myself.
Don't worry, I'm fine.
Thank God. It's fake. See, you can tell with the cross sections.
No! Dad, get your stuff. We gotta get out of here.
Well, I'm sorry about your head, though. But I thought you were one of them.
Dad, they come in through the doors.
Good point.
All right, so that's Sean Connery and Harrison Ford as Dr. Henry Jones, Sr. and Jr. from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I was thinking about that when I was pulling that clip, Matt. I can't think of, outside of obviously of James Bond and then the Irish cop guy whose name escaped me in The Untouchables, I can't think of a better performance of Sean Connery than he was as the senior Henry Jones.
Yeah, he was quite entertaining. Listening to that, it makes me want to watch Last Crusade again because I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah. And I think too, there was only like an 8-year or something like that age difference between the two of them at the time.
Yeah, it was not very wide. Had to feel good for Mr. Connery.
Yeah. So, all right. So that brings me up, Matt, for my first lib for you. You ready?
Ready.
Steven Spielberg made a little announcement this past week that I do not know how to take. So I'm just going to give it to you to answer.
Okay.
Indiana Jones 5 starts filming of April of 2019 for a July 2020 release. That's blank news.
That is depressing news. I think... Folks, okay, let's just level set here. Raiders of the Lost Ark is one of the best films of all time. I'm just gonna say that. I don't think I'm. If you took
way to go out on a limb.
Yeah, huge going out on a risk here, and I'd say Last Crusade is right up there. I mean, it's a really good, worthy successor. Temple of Doom, not so good, but it has its moments. The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is terrible.
Well, let's put it this way: two things. One, I think part of the issue too is that Last Crusade is one of the best send-offs. I mean, there's Shane. I mean, I can't think of a lot of better. The Searchers with John Wayne in the doorway as he walks out. There's few films that kind of wrap stuff up as well as The Last Crusade does, especially for a franchise like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's literally riding off into the sunset with his hat on, his iconic silhouette with the iconic music playing in the background. And you're 100% right. as grumpy as Harrison Ford is and how much he wanted to kill Han Solo, I can't believe he's coming back. Keeps coming back for these films, and I don't know why they're doing it. I mean, it's really disturbing me. They're tarnishing a legacy. Damn it! Why are they killing everything that I love, Chris?
Harrison Ford is going to be 76 years old when they start filming this thing.
Is Shia going to be in this thing, or did they drop Shia?
I think they've jettisoned Shia. I don't think that's going to happen. I hope not. Maybe they recast him with a guy who's playing a young Han Solo. I don't know.
That would be good for some Lucasfilm continuity. That would be admirable if they did that.
What are you more? That's a good question. What are you more concerned about then? Indiana Jones 5 or Solo? Like, which one has you more?
I'm more concerned with Indiana Jones 5 because Indiana Jones 4 was just terrible. And I have thinking it's just going to get worse from here because Spielberg is not the director he used to be, and he's giving into kind of his worst impulses. Harrison Ford is 76 years old. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe George made him put in the aliens, and they got that, and they said, George, we're not listening to you anymore. We love you, thanks, but no, we're not listening to you anymore. Solo, I mean, I wasn't super excited for Rogue One either, but Rogue One was really good. I really enjoyed Rogue One, so I don't know. I'm willing to give Solo a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt, I think.
And then what does he fight? Like, does he go to the Korean War? What is Indiana going up against at that point?
Yeah, I guess he would have to be going against the Russians. More Russians, right?
Yeah, it would have to be. I want to watch Crystal Skull again. I think it's see if it's gotten better with age at all. I don't. Probably not. All right.
Probably not.
I'm trying to think which one I'm more apprehensive about. It'd probably be ND5.
See,
76.
I know. And Crystal Skull for me is so. We buy a lot of films, and we always say we point out it's a blind buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The two things that I got burned the worst on blind buys, which why I'll never do it again, was Transformers, because I was like, oh, I like Transformers. I'm going to like this. How could this be bad? Huge mistake. And then was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I was given that as a gift on Blu-ray because I didn't catch it in the theaters because it was right around when my daughter was born. And I was so sad sitting there watching that. It was just awful.
All right.
I'm depressed.
All right, what you got for me?
All right, so this week we've got, speaking of Spielberg, we got Ready Player One coming out, okay?
Yeah.
Now this is kind of divisive, okay? This is basically references the film, which is based off of references the book. It's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of pop culture references, one on top of the other. And I'm wondering, Chris, this was a very popular book, but it has its detractors. Is RPO Ready Player One will be a financial blank?
Oh, it'll be a financial success. I have
so?
no doubt in my mind whatsoever. It's going to be a big hit. It's going to hit the sweet spot for people who don't know what it is, because they're going to see the Iron Giant. They're going to see Bigfoot. They're going to see kind of all this nostalgia stuff that you and I grow up on. They're going to jump all over that. And then it's Spielberg, and it's all this. It's going to be a big hit. I think it's going to make a ton of cash. So financially, it's going to be massive. Is it going to be a good film? I think it'll be an entertaining mess.
Okay.
Which, from what I understand, is what the book is like.
Yeah, that's about true. Yes.
So I'm thinking that's what my expectations of the film are, and I'll be more concerned or excited about the references than I will be on the quality of the story.
Okay. See, I'm gonna say it's gonna be I'm thinking it's gonna be a disappointing success. I don't think it's gonna break any records. I don't think it's gonna shatter anything or kind of like be this kind of runaway hit. I think it'll make its money back and it'll probably make a modest profit. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's gonna do as well as people are hoping that it will do. Mm-hmm. Which is too bad, I guess. But at the same time, this is a very strange film to try and make a huge tentpole thing out of.
Yeah, we'll see. You think is this franchise worthy? Is this something you do a franchise with?
I don't see how, because there's no sequel to Ready Player One for sure. I don't know how that would even be possible. It pretty much wraps up in a bow by the end.
I'm sure they can come up with something if it's a big enough hit.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Netflix being banned from competition at Cannes, or Cannes, whatever we're supposed to call it now, is blank.
Elitist BS. And I didn't full out say it because I didn't want to get the explicit tag on here because Chris didn't lead off with the swearing. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just stupid, and you know, it's just kind of it's resistance to the way things are going. I mean, obviously, this is a new way of consuming content. The kind of establishment doesn't want to kind of accept it. We know that the theaters are going the way for the dinosaur. I mean, to be honest with you, Chris, a lot of the film, there are films that I really want to see in the theater, and I would probably go and see 60% of the films in the theater. But there are films like Tomb Raider that we just saw. Like, if I could have paid extra and just stayed at home and watched it, I would have done that, you know, and that's would have been fine with me. But you know, I think it's saying something. I think they're passing judgment on the quality of the film just because it didn't get released in a theater. I don't think that's necessarily fair.
Yeah, I'm inclined to use the BS moniker as well, though Spielberg said that basically they're just glorified TV movies that Netflix films are. And Matt Singer, who's I was going to say fellow critic, but I don't want to put him down, it said basically that Netflix just churns out stuff to have on in the background while you're doing other things. That's their content model,
right?
Which I don't know if is especially fair. But I can't say it ain't accurate from what I've seen so far, for the most part. Yeah. Outside of like Stranger Things and Mindhunter, if we're looking at the movies,
yeah. Well, I mean, at the same time, I mean, well, I guess it's not fair. I mean, but this is con audiences are the same thing when, you know, Amazon released their films into the theaters, and when the Amazon logo came up, they booed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're kind of already fighting an uphill battle.
No, I agree. And any way we can get more and interesting content, if there's no way outside of Amazon for me to have seen the Neon Demon, then I would think that's not a world I want to live in. Even though I'm still mixed on the film.
Yeah, I know.
I'm still glad I saw it. And if I were robbed of a Nicholas Winding Refn next film because of their lack of financial and lately, unfortunately, critical success.
Right.
But as a filmmaker, I'm desperate to see what he does next. So if that's what's going to take for me to see that content, then I'm all in.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's just the winds of change, man. I mean, the theater model, for better or worse, I guess for worse, because we'll be losing something in the experience. But you know, I mean, think of it this way. There's probably a bright side or a silver lining to that too. Just like you said, you know, people are not going to see the kind of original content films that we lament on the show all the time. We wish people would go out and see them, but they're not hits. And if this is a place where those kinds of films can be made and shown, then I'm completely okay with it. It beats not having the films at all.
Yeah, if it's still out there, go see Thoroughbreds. Right. You know, go support that kind of stuff, please. All right, what's next, Matt?
All right, so it's getting judgment. It's getting close to time. Avengers: Infinity War has been moved up to the end of April. All right, and the big question is, who's not going to make it out? So, blank is the major Avenger member who will not make it through Infinity War.
It's Evans or Downey Jr. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
And I think I really could flip a coin, but I think it'll be Robert Downey Jr. who's out.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And he is always, for me, he's been the beating heart of this whole thing.
Right.
So it would be a major loss, I think. But he was guy number one, right? He was the first one. And I know Evans is signed on for 4 Avengers, or for 4. No, what is it? He does a 3. I know he signed on for 4 Avengers movies. Sorry, okay. I'll get there. So I think he's gonna make it, or maybe he'll just be flashbacks in the next one. I don't know, but I think it's RDJ. What about you?
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that it is RDJ as well. I think Well, RDJ is older, and I think he's kind of done with all this kind of stuff. He's not as vocal about it as Chris Evans was, or Chris Hemsworth, even for that matter. No, I think he's gracefully ready to kind of finish it. And I think what you've seen over these past few films is, I think the heart. I would argue that he's still the heart of the films or the franchise. I think they're moving that towards Captain America and Chris Evans, especially, just how much he's focused in a lot of the films. They've kind of moved a lot of that focus off of Iron Man onto Captain America. So I think while we may not be getting Captain America standalone films, I think he's going to start popping up in a lot of other films, and I think RDJ will be the one to go.
Yeah. He's going to be 53 when this thing comes out. I had no idea. Here's what's so sad. I had no idea Robert Downey Jr. was going to be 53 years old. But then when I think about how old I am, then it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that'll do that to you.
Yeah, because I don't remember how old I am sometimes. That is sad. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap up the show with this last one and then cry myself to sleep.
Okay.
I was trying to figure this out. I guess there's an article about this that I'm going to have to read, but I'm curious for your opinion. How's the call sheet read on Avengers Infinity War? The call sheet for Infinity War is blank. So give me the top 10. Who's number one on the call sheet, and then go from there.
Okay. And I got to do all 10 of them?
Just give me 10, because there's more than 10. There's like 30.
Okay.
So
Who's number one on the call sheet? Okay. I think RDJ is number one as
no doubt.
as the elder statesman. As the elder statesman, he's it. I think Chris Evans is number two as Captain America, as Major Principal. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say ScarJo is number three because she seems to be a bit of a diva. From what I understand, she has that kind of reputation. So I think if she's not higher up there, she's going to be up there. Then I'm going to say Hemsworth. Then I'll say Ruffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And then those bottom five, I think all bets are off. This is where it gets really tough, right? You've gotten all the principles done. I think.
What about Pratt? Your boy Pratt.
Okay, Pratt is next. I think Pratt's next, not from an ego's perspective,
That's
I don't
six.
think. Yeah,
You
that's
put
six.
Pratt in.
I think you got to bring in Chadwick Boseman as number 7 because he's the big dog on the block right now.
Let me throw a couple names at you, kind of help you out because you said a bunch.
Yeah.
We still got to talk about Benedict Cumberbatch. We still got to talk about Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, Anthony Mackie.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Tom Holland, Don
Rudd.
Cheadle, Paul Rudd, Dave Bautista, Josh Brolin. Who's our bad guy?
Okay, I'm putting Josh Brolin as 8. You got to put the villain in there somewhere, right?
All right.
Okay, so I'm saying Tom Holland is 10 because I think he's the future of the franchise. He's going to be the focus going forward. They're not letting go of Spider-Man.
No.
So
then that leaves you. Yeah. I guess Cumberbatch, Paul Bettany, Elizabeth Olsen, Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie.
I'm gonna say just because he's my favorite. While I want to say it's probably one of the high maintenance British actors in Bettany or Cumberbatch, I'm gonna say Paul Rudd just because he's an awesome dude. So I'm saying Paul Rudd.
All right. I would probably go Cumberbatch over Rudd.
Okay.
But outside of that, I think your actually list is pretty good. So just to recap, you have Robert Downey Jr. at number 1. No argument here.
Yeah.
Number 2, Chris Evans. I might go Hemsworth on that.
Okay.
3, ScarJo. I would put her 4th. Then you have 4, Chris Hemsworth. 5, Ruffalo. 6, Chris Pratt. 7, Chadwick Boseman. 8, Josh Brolin. 9, Paul Rudd, which I think is a mistake.
Yeah.
I think that would probably be Cumberbatch. Yeah, that's what I said. And then 10, Tom Holland, which.
Oh, but you know who else? You know what? Taking off Paul Rudd, I'm putting on Bucky Barnes. I forget that guy's name, but it's got to be him. Yeah, because I think there's a good chance he's going to take over as Cap, right? Which
possibly
happens in the comic book.
Yeah. All right. I think that works. I think so. I know on Wikipedia they have RDJ, then Hemsworth, Ruffalo, Evans, ScarJo, Cumberbatch, Cheadle, Holland, Boseman, Bettany, Olsen, Mackie, Stan.
Wow, Pratt's that low?
He's at the bottom.
Really? He's
Just
the
above
last
him
one
is-
to call.
Above him is Brolin, then Saldana, Bautista. I think, but remember, this is Wikipedia, so somebody
Sure.
probably just
Yeah, somebody's
Typed it up.
putting Andy Dwyer at the bottom. Although he's
Yeah,
probably low maintenance. He doesn't care.
Anna Faris obviously put that list together. Sorry, that was mean. I shouldn't.
That
Have
was
said
mean. You shouldn't make fun of a marriage falling apart.
No. So, all right. We just finished rewatching Parks and Rec. Too.
Yeah.
Though Jen did it at an accelerated rate, I probably missed about half of them. But she watched.
Shouldn't wait for you, huh?
Oh no. Well, because I'd be at the movies or I'd be at softball.
Sure.
But yeah, she absolutely loves it. So do I. But it's just funny seeing Pratt's transition, right, from that show as Andy Dwyer in the beginning. And it's funny watching him being. That's one of the biggest movie stars on the planet right now, Chris Pratt. That guy right there.
That's right.
Anyway, all right, that was fun. Do you agree with any of our blanks? Do you disagree with how we filled them in? Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. I got one for you to sit with. This is one for the audience. Shoot us an email. Answer this one for me. The Men in Black spinoff will be blank. It's directed by F. Gary Gray, who did Straight Outta Compton and The Fate of the Furious. It's starring Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson. But it's a franchise I have absolutely no interest in. So I'm curious. The relaunch, the Men in Black spinoff will be blank. Just an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. All right, Matt. What's coming up next week? It's Pacific Rim, which probably would be a better name for The Shape of Water. But it's we're going to talk about that next week. It's Pacific Rim Uprising, and then of course we have Isle of Dogs coming up shortly, and what's the big one after that?
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One coming up shortly as well. It's going to be crazy. We're starting to kick in the gear now, Matt.
We are.
Come fast and furious.
Dominoes are falling. This is going to be all movies all the time.
So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. All right. As always, just email, as I said, feedback@thefirstrun.com. Go to iTunes, or excuse me, Apple Podcasts now is what they prefer to be called.
Okay.
Leave us a review. Get us up that ranking. We want to get past that podcast about how to boil hot dogs and other stuff like that. Help us out. Check us out at thefirstrun.com. Run Instagram, I should say, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Just do a search. Scroll. Eventually you will find us. Matt, let's go ahead and take an extended break, and we will see you all soon. Take care.
Run! Go! Get to the chopper!